What's up, everyone? This is Nima here, NGC Gaming, and today I want to talk about Mortal Kombat 2. This game probably transformed me from being just a normal little boy to the video game demon that I am now. Just truly obsessed with video games, and part of it is this game. And there's so many reasons why. And I kind of want to just get into it. I was kind of reading an article about from NetherRealm, the company who develops the Mortal Kombat games, and that they might be stepping away from Mortal Kombat for a while. And it just made me think about the history of Mortal Kombat and why it means so much to me. And it goes deeper than just the game itself. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the game. Sub-Zero was my favorite. I used him all the time. Just a lot of fun. But it goes deeper for me because this takes me back to a time when this game came out. You didn't, you couldn't day one order it, download it, it digitally at midnight and just have the game. No, you had to wait for it to move from arcade onto Super Nintendo. And that meant you had a year of it being only in the arcade. And it's the only way you could play it. And as a 10-year-old or so, middle school, that was the thing all the guys did. It was a gas station right across from my middle school, and after school we'd all run over there and we would battle each other. And it was kind of a thing, the trying to be who's more masculine, if you will, because this was a perfect game for that. Not only did you beat up your competitor, but you could also kill them at the end, which I know sounds really aggressive now, but that's just the way things were then. And it kind of really gave you that sense of I'm more of a man. I know it's ridiculous, but that's how we thought back then. It really was. And this game was so huge, everyone was playing it. It was just everywhere. And you wanted to get good at it. It didn't even become a game to play for fun. It was, I got to train because I don't want to look like a fool when all the kids are watching and I'm up fighting someone else. I got to train and I got to work at it. So ultimately, that's where the kind of journey of the whole video game thing starts for me. Is I've always had really great parents. I don't care what it has to do with it's religion or politics or music or whatever. My parents have always just kind of supported me and let me find my own path while giving me advice. But understanding is my own pathway there, and this was kind of a reflection of that. See, Mortal Kombat. We lived in a small town. There was no arcade. It was only gas stations, and a couple of the gas stations had Mortal Kombat 2. Now you can't practice this game in your home, so you had to go to an arcade. You had to play it somewhere. And I think of the evenings, the weekends, these times where my mom would tell me, "Hey, what do you want to do? Let's go out and do something. Let's go have fun. Go shopping maybe." And I would say, "I want to go play Mortal Kombat. I want to go to the gas station." So imagine this, picture this hole in the wall gas station, creepy old dudes smoking the nastiest cigarettes. Back then you could smoke indoors, it was no big deal. So they're smoking nasty cigarettes, putting this nastiness in the air while they're sipping on, their cheap, crappy coffee and scratching lotto tickets while they're hacking up God knows what. You got that in this dank, dirty environment. The floors are gross, haven't been cleaned in God knows how long. The gas station attendant, usually some lippy jerk. And that's what my mom's evening, afternoon, that's what it was. She had to just live in that situation for a couple hours while I was sitting there practicing, while I was sitting there working, trying to hone my craft at Mortal Kombat so I could beat the other kids at school. And I think about that now, it means a lot because it's not something I don't think I would do for my son now. It's it's just a true sign of like the support, and maybe why I am bought into video games, because I have these memories like that, and I think of the sacrifice of, hey, I have some free moments. She worked full time. She busted her butt, and we didn't have a lot of money, and she was just watching $5, $10 just going into this machine, while she also just had to sit there. This is before smartphones. This is before she just had to sit there and and kind of live amongst these kind of less than reputable people, while her little boy completely ignored her playing a video game. So yeah, that was a year or two where it was like that every free moment, every time we hung out, and we hung out a lot in that time, because my dad was working evenings a lot, uh, and he was just getting in this new career that he really had to sacrifice for his free time with the family. And that's what her options were, is, hey, I'm going to have to go to this arcade and sit there, and not even arcade, a crappy gas station, and I would sit there for hours. And as I got better at it, the quarters were going longer and longer. So we've been here 2 hours. Well, I still have $2 left. Let me, we got to keep going. But that takes the other part of it, and it's my dad. Now, my dad and I have always been close, and he's been wonderful. But the thing is early on, my dad was a little, I wouldn't say unapproachable, but up until I was, maybe 7 or 8, I was pretty sure he only spoke in like grunts. And no, the man worked his tail off, and his, crappy factory work. You come home, and, you know, you're not interested in, hearing about how what your kid is into all the time, and you're sore and you're tired, and I get all of that. But he did a great job when it came to those things. Like when I played football and stuff like that, he was engaged. And as much as, video games are like a different role to him. He was born in the late 50s, so like, yeah, it's just kind of a thing you did to kill time. And even that, he still tried to kind of get in on, my interests of him a little bit. And in fact, this game in general, I remember, one just kind of side note, but I got it for the Super Nintendo, and I'll get to that story because that's the big story here. But I'm playing it, and my mom and dad are watching me, and my mom was laughing at the way the characters kind of walked, and he gave her a look, and he was, kind of like, hey, back off. Like, don't make fun of this. He likes that. So they're super supportive, but we also didn't have a lot of money. And I think that's where this comes to. So a year had passed. Mortal Kombat on 2 on the arcade was finally going to come out for the Super Nintendo. And like I said, we live in a small town. We didn't have a lot of money. The only way to get this game on the Super Nintendo for us was to drive about 45 minutes to this bigger town and, buy it full price. And I really, really wanted it. And I remember bringing it up all the time. And one day I called in sick. Well, I got called in sick for school. And it was kind of special. My mom was a teacher, so I couldn't miss a lot of school. It looked bad on her. Um, and my dad happened to be home that day. And I was really surprised that I got to miss the day. And, anytime you have a day off from school, it's great. But what made this day epic and will for always be one of those memories that I look back to, and one of those times I think about my dad and me and the relationship that we had, was, or have, my luckily my father's still here, but he got in the car. He said, "Come on, we're gonna go up to Wichita." And why? Well, we're gonna go get that game. And if you didn't know, Wichita is like 30, 45 minutes away from where we live. And I'm like, "We're really?" And I would, they never told me about their financial problems. They would never burden me with it, but I understood, you know? And so getting a brand new game in general, that was huge right there. But not only I'm missing school, we're gonna go to Wichita and we're gonna have a day, and that just didn't happen very often. Uh, I'm sure my father would have loved to have more of those, but he couldn't. He had to provide, just like my mom did. And so that in general was rare. Where it's just me and my dad going out, and then we're going to, I believe it was Toys R Us, and we're gonna get my game. I I remember just being so excited, running up, and it didn't even occur to me until we got there that they may not even have the game. And I remember the attendant at the store when my dad asked for it. He was, well, I don't know if we have any. I have to look. And that's when it shot through me, and I could even see my dad was a little bit bothered by it because, I mean, for one, this was a big gesture from him, and it could have all been ruined. So we didn't know if they had it in stock, but luckily they did. And I also love the fact that they kind of they asked, well, you're buying it for yourself, aren't you? And he's yeah, I am. But he actually had to ask, why? Well, it's rated M. It's for mature. It's only, you know, kids shouldn't play this game. That is all fine. Like, you know, we understood so many. There was none of us running around the neighborhood actually trying to decapitate each other. We knew fantasy violence and all that. Um, but getting that game, the ride home, talking about how great it looked. I remember putting it into Super Nintendo, and the rest of that day until my mom came home and my sister came home, my dad sat there and watched me play on the Super Nintendo, and I will forever have that kind of memory. And that's what video games for me are. They are these moments in time. They're like a wondrous book that you read and you just get so into. And it's the people, it's the passion, it's all of that wrapped up in these in these games. But there's so much more than just a time filler. It's the things that you're doing, the people that you're gaming with, the sacrifices that you make or that people make. And as I get older and my son is getting into video games, I always try to have those experiences where I take him to the local game store here in town and we'll go pick out games, and he knows the owner really well, and it's this great relationship because I want him to have that same memory and to know that whether it's video games or whatever, that I'm invested in him the same way that my dad and my mom were invested in me. And again, I think that just leads to this comforting thing of video games. And I think that's missed. A lot of people don't understand why there is such a love for video games. And this is one of those things. Some people, tragically were bullied and were put through hell, and video games became an escape for them. It became a world where they weren't picked on, where they were a hero, where they got to be strong instead of weak. Um, there's people who have depression or anxiety, and these kind of roads where you can detach and you can leave that skin that you're wearing that is making you uncomfortable for a while, and on so many other reasons why these these pieces of media are so important to so many people. But anyway, that's my whole situation with Mortal Kombat 2. Just made me think about it, and I wanted to put something up. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Take care of yourself and take care of your loved ones. Bye bye.